Hello, Facebook family, and welcome to another edition of Bedtime Book Report. So, tonight I wanted to talk about this book. It's called Think and Eat Yourself Smart by Dr. Caroline Leaf. It is so juicy. It is such a good book. I totally recommend it to every single person in America, at least, maybe even the whole wide world, because she talks about everything about food. It's just amazing. It's an amazing book. So I can't recommend it enough, and I definitely recommend it to you. So check it out. I'm gonna go over, the top few things that I learned. I learned so much. One of the best parts of this book are all the notes in the back. So everything she references, every study, every fact, every tidbit, she references back directly to scientific studies and neuroscience. She's a neurologist, I think, a doctor of neurology. In any case, she's all about the brain. She's totally smart, and I love this book. I mean, you can tell I loved it because I actually bought it in hardcover. I never buy books unless I plan on rereading them and referencing them over and over again. So otherwise, I'll just do like the electronic version, right? Where to start? So why I think this book is so important is because it is ultimately the most important thing you can do is to protect your brain, because it just breaks my heart to know how many people end up in nursing homes and assisted living, or even just day to day, right? You know, people who have brain centered diseases or disorders, and it's crazy. And I always feel like if there's anything I can do to protect my brain, I'm going to do it. Number one, always, always. And I would encourage you to, because my theory, my philosophy, knowing, modern medicine, is that pretty much any part of your body is replaceable at this point, except for your brain. They cannot replace your brain. You can't replace your memories. You can't do that yet. I'm sure they're working on that somewhere. But for right now, I feel like, you know, it's the most important thing to protect. So that's why I'm recommending this book. All about the brain, all about nutrition, and even lifestyle things, a few things thrown in there about protecting your brain. Top things. Let me see. I'm going to go through the little table of contents first so that you can get an idea of the topics that are covered. She talks about real food, and she talks about the standard American diet. She calls it MAD, so it's like a modern American diet. So she talks about the MAD way of eating. So it's kind of funny, but serious, right? So she talks about GMOs and the science behind that, which is fascinating. If the only thing you get from this book is to learn about GMO foods and the chemicals that are used to process them and things like that, it's worth it. It's totally worth it. The next thing she talks about is actually your mindset. So, one of the quotes that really stuck with me, maybe I'll find it and quote it directly, but it was about how you are never stuck. You can always choose new thoughts. And your thoughts, she talks about the science behind how your thoughts actually affect your body, how you can heal your body, or how you can become sick just based on your thoughts. And she references studies they did. It's amazing, right? It's just, it blows your mind. I swear, it just blows your mind. So that's part 2, is about mindset. And then she talks about emotions, destructive behaviors, epigenetics a little bit, which she doesn't get really like crazy technical. So it's totally digestible for like us normal human beings who haven't studied neuroscience our whole life. And she talks about specific foods. She covers things about gluten and meat and vegetables, sugar, and sleep and movement. So like I said, she does throw in those things at the end about, getting good sleep and exercise. And then there's a 12 steps to beat it and a 21 recipe kickstart. So there's actually recipes in here which sound delicious. I haven't tried any of them yet, but I certainly plan to because they sound good. And I figure, hey, if a neuroscientist is recommending certain foods, I'm certainly gonna give that a shot. So I have a couple pages marked where I thought I would give you just a couple quotes to show you why, not only how she's talking about common sense stuff and strategic things, but also the facts that she's throwing out there that are backed up, that she references in the back, so that you know it's real. You can really look it up. It's not just her opinion. So let's see. Here is one thing that struck me hard because mostly in my line of work talking about nutrition, a lot of people say, oh, it's so expensive to eat organic. It's so expensive to eat good food. You know, you can go to the store or you can go through drive-through McDonald's and you get like this whole meal for $3, right? Like you can feed your whole family for $20. And if you go to the store and you're buying whole foods and trying to stick to organic foods, well then, you know, it might cost a little more, it might take more time, things like that, which is arguable, by the way. I have started to notice that organic food is not necessarily more expensive than the conventional. So I'm interested in that turnaround. So if you know about that, shoot me a little comment, let me know. If you have any information on how organics are becoming so much cheaper, because part of me is a little bit concerned about that and wondering if the term organic may not mean what we all hope it means. The other part of me is very hopeful that perhaps people are starting to find that organic farming practices are actually as sustainable, if not more sustainable, which is something she does talk about in this book, the sustainability part of GMOs and factory farms versus organic, local, like family farms. So it's very interesting. So here's what she says. She says in 2011, Americans spent $117 billion on fast food, $65 billion on soft drinks, $17 billion on video games, $5 billion on ringtones, like for your phone, ringtones, $5 billion. And now this was 7 years ago too, so I imagine it's gone up. And 310 million with an M, million dollars on pet Halloween costumes. So just that list blew my mind because I thought if you can spend money on your pet's Halloween costume, you can certainly throw a little cash towards some organic whole foods, right, to feed your brain so that you don't end up in a home with dementia or Alzheimer's, or so that during your day, you know, right now, you don't have brain fog or, you know, slow thinking or emotional roller coasters. I mean, even mood swings, right? If you have poor nutrition, it can absolutely like give you PMSy mood swings, whether you're a man or a woman. So, you know, just to think about that. This is on page 49. So if you pick up the book and you're like, I got to see that for myself, it's on page 149. I highlighted it. It's a little sticky because it's like, wow, $310 million in America 7 years ago on pet costumes and $5 billion on video games and ringtones. Sorry, $5 billion on ringtones, $17 billion on video games. It just really opened my eyes. I thought, yep, we need to shuffle some of that money over. And she does address this as well, about people who can't afford or don't have access to healthier foods like fresh fruit and vegetables. And she touches on government subsidization, which I found to be really interesting. Talks about how they subsidize specific agriculture products like corn, soy, and wheat. And in here somewhere, she tells just how many acres of corn, soy, and wheat there are compared to other fruits and vegetables. And it just, oh, my heart dropped. But anyway, here's another thing she says on page 61. Millions of Americans, and particularly people in inner city neighborhoods, live in food deserts, in quotes, food deserts. Areas where local stores within a 5-mile radius, 5-mile radius, do not even carry fresh fruit and vegetables. I can't imagine. And if you know anyone who lives like that, or if you live like that, let me know. I mean, seriously, let me know if this is real, because I do believe it's real, but it also kind of blows my mind that there's places where stores don't carry fresh fruits and vegetables. It makes me sad. Makes me sad, definitely. Okay, and further, she goes on to talk about a few pages later. She says, those of us who can afford to purchase better quality food, once we understand how dysfunctional our current food system is, have a responsibility to change the way we eat. This goes back to basic economic principles of supply and demand, and I really feel that way, and I definitely incorporated this into my own spending, not only for my own health, but also for other people, because the more we spend our dollars on these healthy foods and nourishing ourselves for health, the more available it becomes, right? Because if there's a demand for something, someone's going to fill it. And the more demand there is, the more people feel it. And that made me kind of connect back to what she says about people who live in food deserts. And it makes me think that if more of us are demanding healthy, whole, organic food that's not laced with chemicals and not processed to be basically non-nutritive, which a lot of processed food is, that demand goes up, right? And maybe we can help these food desert areas. So just a thought for you. And my last little flag, no wait, I have two more flags. Bear with me. Let me know if I'm going on too long, give me a comment here and let me know. But if you're enjoying this, give me a little love. Give me a little thumbs up, a heart, something. Let me know. So here is another quote. It's very controversial. I think this is going to hit a lot of people a little hard because it hit me hard. And I'm not a parent, and so I can't imagine as a parent coming to this realization how that would affect you. But I'm quoting her. This is not necessarily my opinion. I don't necessarily believe that people are intentionally doing this, but it is food for thought. So she says, as the mad food industry continues to insufficiently self-regulate its marketing agendas, by the way, this is where she's talking about commercials that are pushing sugary cereals and things to kids. They're really marketing to kids, or even marketing to adults and claiming that products are healthy when they're not. Things that are using, chemicals and artificial sweeteners that have been shown to cause brain problems, cancer, things like that. So she says so. And this isn't regulated, right? Like the word natural is used all over the place, and it is not regulated. The FDA, the USDA, they do not regulate the claim natural. You can literally be eating petroleum jelly and it can be labeled natural. So keep that in mind. I think we all know we don't want to eat petroleum jelly, right? So she says, I'll start over. As the mad food industry continues to insufficiently self-regulate its marketing agendas, more and more youth are crippled with lifestyle diseases that can affect their future development, spirit, soul, and body. Is this not a form of child abuse? That hit me so hard because I thought, I know a lot of parents, they are doing the best they can. And if someone highlighted this to them and said, feeding your kids these like highly sugared, dyed, artificial dyed cereals that don't have any nutrition in them, could that be a form of child abuse? I'd like to know what you think about that. Let me know your thoughts on that, because I am struggling. I can't imagine as a parent how hard it is to actually navigate all this, and then to have someone throw something like that at you. That's got to just like blow your mind and make you really stop and think. So it made me stop and think, like, what am I feeding myself, too? Like, you have to think about that. Like, when you're choosing these things because you're programmed to, we kind of grow up deciding what's normal food or what's not okay to eat. How much of that is kind of you're kind of injuring yourself, is maybe how I would put it. Okay, last little tidbit here. Hi, Gail. Let me know you're here. Hi, nice to see you. Okay, my last little note here she talks about high fructose corn syrup. Huge thing, right? It's in everything. It's in dry goods and sodas and everything. And she actually talks about how when you ingest glucose, your brain gets the signal that you're satisfied. But when you ingest fructose, like high fructose corn syrup, your brain still thinks you're hungry. It doesn't get that chemical reaction that says, ooh, I'm satisfied. So I'm going to leave you with that one because I thought it was just really, it woke me up a little bit to think about how much food has fructose in it that we're eating, and it actually causes this reaction to make us want more, 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 more. And so it's no wonder, right, that people overeat and drink huge amounts of high fructose corn syrup in their soda and things. It's like, ah. So that was my thing. Again, the book is Think and Eat Yourself Smart by Dr. Caroline Leaf. And like I said, I totally recommend it. She talks about everything from how to eat for your brain health and all the pitfalls that come through here. She talks about farming. She talks about GMOs. She talks about exercise and sleep. And she has recipes. And I'll flip through here. There's probably not a single page in here that I didn't highlight, put little smiley faces by, flags. I've got things noted everywhere. They're all, you can see, I underline all sorts of stuff. It was a really good book. So I will leave it at that. If you have any questions, just leave them in the comments. If you have any comments, obviously leave them in the comments and I'll come back, and I would love to just hear what you have. If anyone wants to do a book club about it, like a little mini book club, maybe, set aside a little time and talk about all the things that you find out when you read it, let me know. I would love to. I would love to talk to people about this book because it's so interesting to me on so many levels. So there we go. And that is all for tonight's bedtime book story. And I hope you'll tune in next week. I'm thinking of making this a weekly thing. So I've gotten some good feedback, a couple messages that people like it. So if you like it, come back and let me know. Okay. Otherwise, I will talk to you again. Let's see, later. Bye. Mwah.